You need to go on the WebEx.
Yeah, look, I just want to get the number first. Oh, really?
Hello?
Hello, yeah, how are you?
How are you?
All right, thank you. Can you hear me? From Bella College? Signed in twice. I'm going to, okay.
Hello, everybody. This is Webster University.
Sir, how are you? Welcome.
Where's Peachy Keen? Do we else here? I'm sorry.
Yes, we have most of the participants here.
Say yes.
Good. We're working on the video side of our life here, so.
Phone number, attendee ID.
Yeah, we're already in those. I'm set.
So you need to
Okay,
click
it's 10-1 and
the field ID. Underneath.
yeah. Can you mute your phone? We're going to get started. It's 10:01. Okay. On to our first cover of the 2013 Fellows here. We have with us 9 universities represented by 140 new and returning fellows. As part of a couple of sort of rules, you can keep your phone muted during the meeting. That was the audio quality, and the quality of the meeting overall. You wish to speak, unmute it, that way we can manage the quality meeting better. And there is on the bottom of your screen a hand symbol icon. We call it raise hand button. Have a question or a comment, please click on that so it allows me to see the comments accordingly. It sort of gives me an indication as to who wanted to speak when, and I can sequence it better. Introduce myself. My name is Joe Roberts. I'm the program coordinator for the Fellows Program. It's truly a privilege and an honor to do this for me, and looking forward to exciting activities for the entire community of fellows. Today we have a few welcome items, and we'll hear from the foundation. Mike, Clark, and Rosa are representing the foundation on this session this morning. With a perspective from their point of view, and sort of go through program expectations, what is expected of the fellows and directors and at large, and then talk about the Fellows Summit coming up on October 31st in Chicago. And Clark, our senior program officer from the foundation, is going to talk about the program graphic we call the bullseye. It sort of outlines and philosophical thinking behind the Fellows program, and then we get to some announcements and get to the Q&A. So we have a full agenda, and I'd like to get right into the meat of it. So we started. I would like to welcome the 2 new schools that are now part of the community. One is McPherson College by Corey, who's the program director, and then University, represented by Barrett Babler, who's the program director there. And a couple of sleeping things: please do not use your signing in, like your laptop or your PC, to into the audio side that creates a lot of a meeting. So, and the system is set so that it will automatically expel you. So if you and if you are, I can see the company trying to do that. So if you are your laptop, please refrain from doing that. So there are universities, and I am going to ask each university's representative just to say they are present. So, who's Finlandia? Sin and
Robert.
Robert, thank you. Anna Mesa, are you here? Mesa?
We're here.
Okay, DePaul? DePaul University? Okay, Fresno State, Eric, are you here? Okay, Wichita?
Yes, we're here.
Hi?
Yep, we're here. We're here. We're here.
Quincy?
Here.
Central?
Experts were present.
Poly?
We're here. Hi.
I'm here, Lawrence Tech?
Yes, we're here.
Milliken?
We're
Okay. And I see Diane and Jerry online. Okay. Jerry yet, so. Okay, so I'm going to have the Performance Foundation say things about the program and welcome all of you. And I welcome Mr. Hennessy, the president of the foundation, to say a few words.
Thank everybody. I know most of you. You know that we've been doing this for over 30 years, and we entered it at a time among all the great debates as to whether entrepreneurship could be taught and what were the traits of an entrepreneur and what kinds of things should be taught. And there was a lot of small business activity. There really wasn't a great deal of entrepreneurship. Our efforts really were very, very broad-based. It didn't take a lot to introduce entrepreneurship on campus at that time. We were really working more on awareness and exposure. And that early work really began to bring us into contact with some of the cross-campus interest and activities that were going on. They were really mostly very informal efforts, but there were early programs by people like Tim Stearns and Gary Ernst at Fresno and Gary Ernst at Central and Sharon at Milliken, and they were using various versions of fellows activity to kind of increase their campus outreach and garner some interest. So, the Fellows Program really has become our largest organized entrepreneurship activity. And certainly the idea of interdisciplinary education these days has helped on it, but we also see that many of our early hypotheses about why this was a good thing to do have really been born. Certainly with support for the local champion, it continues to be a contagion on campus. It provides an entrepreneurship infrastructure on campus, and those things really seem to be true. It certainly supports the experiential education activity that are going on, and that we see as one of the positive elements of what we're doing, is that we move beyond the kind of just receptivity to the wholly experiential component and making it much more active. We see that as a very, very positive evolution. It's for particularly those of you who have been doing this longer than we have. 30 years is a long, long time to be pushing an agenda, but there really seems to be a lot of momentum right now, and a lot of the right kind of momentum, really giving students an opportunity to practice and experience the things they need to and develop skill sets that they need to succeed. So on behalf of the Foundation, I want to thank each of you for your efforts and your interest in this program. We're looking forward to a really great year ahead and more progress. So thank you all.
Thank you. I'd like to recognize Lawrence University, who is now, I see that they are on this session, so welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. And in terms of the program itself, we are in the 5th year of the Fellows Program. The goal of this year's program is to continue of a faculty. They are called the Coleman Foundation Entrepreneurship Faculty Network. And in essence, we are expecting all of these fellows, existing and new fellows, to be champions of cross-campus entrepreneurship education. And in that effort, the fund has put together a series of activities. They're very critical about having the true definition of the partnership as the foundation defines it. This slide that you're seeing outlines and I got it. You got it. Hello? Can mute your phone, please? Okay. So this is the definition as Coleman defines it. So Coleman self-employment is defined by the foundation as self-employment through business ownership, which has significant elements of risk, control, and reward. And it also implies here that this is for-profit enterprises primarily. We'll get into the details and nitty-gritty of how this guides the Fellows Program and what the Fellows do and what the function exercises in terms of the activities for the Fellows. And the expectation is Fellow will create a new course or module or modify an existing course during the fall term and then hopefully teach it in the spring term in the 2014 year. So at the all of these activities are to the task of fellows, individual fellows, attain this goal. And into webinars, we have designed a number of activities throughout the year that's designed to help the fellows achieve this goal. And one of the keys of the Fellows Program is we are putting together a community of practice with language and a lot of support systems to help the fellows achieve this goal. And to set these things in context, I've asked a few of our directors and well-known entrepreneurship educators across the program to talk about how the Fellows Program fits and the cross-campus entrepreneurship education fits the overall scheme of things. At this point, I would like to welcome co-director Jeff Cat from St. Louis to say a few words about cross-campus entrepreneurship and how it fits. Jerry, please help us.
Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay. Let me filter some.
Any, Jerry?
Yeah.
Ron, go ahead, please.
Okay. Morning, everyone. Jimmy, to tell you a little bit about the history of entrepreneurship education across the campus, mostly because I'm really probably was here when it happened. Actually, you are at the leading edge of an effort that started in the 1970s. Some of you may have heard or seen the work of a fellow named Carl Vesper, who is an emeritus professor now at the University of Washington. He's about 6 years younger than God, but every day he gets up and he and his wife go and surf just off the La Jolla coast. He loves hanging around with sharks. But he went to Harvard back in the 1970s during the heyday of Route 128, precursor of Silicon Valley. And started working with engineers at Harvard and actually even at MIT, and started to create classes on technological entrepreneurship. At the same time, arts, we had the creation of a book called The Business of Art by Lee Kaplan, which was built off of a...
Vicki? I just wanted to say thank you. Yeah, I'm...
Sorry, go ahead, Harry.
That literally was one of the first cross-campus efforts related to arts education, arts entrepreneurship. They grew from that. A lot of it was individual collaborations of entrepreneurship professors with professors in different parts of the campus. One of the biggest, I think one of the watershed events was the creation of the Kaufman Campus Initiative by the Kaufman Foundation. It involved at its height about 16 campuses and was intended to promote entrepreneurship, cross-campus entrepreneurship education. The program, interestingly enough, they didn't leave a lot of seeds, like a lot of advice on what's the best way to do cross-campus entrepreneurship education. But they definitely sort of pointed up the value of it. Coleman Foundation actually predated Kaufman because they had entrepreneurship professors involved in all sorts of different areas. For example, Joe was one of the leaders in arts entrepreneurship. We have folks at IIT, which again would be technological entrepreneurship. And here at St. Louis U, we've worked with folks, we've been working with folks in our engineering school and in the School of Arts and Sciences. So there was a lot of skill around cross-campus entrepreneurship education in the Coleman Foundation. And the Coleman Foundation basically has the largest cross-campus entrepreneurship program in the nation now. And all of you who are here today are a part of that. The model these days, to give you an idea of the power of cross-campus entrepreneurship education that's happening in America. The EU, they made cross-campus entrepreneurship education for all college students because if you look at it, so many college students are going to take jobs or make jobs for themselves as entrepreneurs. So there's a tremendous amount of activity going on in the EU, and that's a lot of fun to watch. But here in America, folks, us together, we have the leading edge of entrepreneurship education in the USA. If you have questions for me, my email is katj@slu.edu. Okay, back to you.
Nope, not still muted.
They asked me to talk about we go about infusing entrepreneurship in working with faculty. I'm not a large we are not a large university. We are a small university, which makes it a lot easier to see everybody around the room. We have 13 fellows. Most of them are here, and part of work that not only I do, but our Associate Director, Andy Heiss, does is to work with faculty to help them understand and help give them guidance on how they want to structure what their courses are. But beyond that, we usually start with two questions. What does entrepreneurship mean to you, and what does innovation mean to you? And then as they start to think about what those are, then we ask what is it that they're presently doing that could be possible courses courses or be able to be used the venue for infusing entrepreneurship in some of their courses. And kind of how we worked with them. We bring them together on various occasions, but at least monthly. We feed them, and that I found that is a very necessary component of our gatherings. But we also use our senior fellows now because we've been doing this for 6 years as resources for them as well to help them share with what they're doing and what has worked in their courses. So our role in helping them develop that course or is entrepreneurship in a prep course is something we take pretty seriously, but we do it with a way that we hope helps them be better at what they want to do within their discipline. Joe, that's what you want me to say, I think. And
just go out getting coffee. I'll talk. George Anjuflis from Costa Mesa University, and I was asked to talk about e-baristas. Everybody can hear me. Can't see me because we got booted out of our room, but hopefully you can hear me. In terms of e-baristas, I was rather disappointed when they started the whole e-barista program because I was all excited about the Coleman fellowship that we got out of our silos and we got to be together and do some projects together. But I've been really pleasantly pleased with and surprised about the e-barista program. So two of our e-barista programs have been really successful. It started last year, and what they did at the conference was get people from similar disciplines together, and they had a separate little team, so to speak, and they worked on projects, entrepreneurial projects for specific their disciplines. So they talked language, and it turned out being really successful. One of our fellows ended up going to Puerto Rico to present a paper that this subcommittee came up with, so it was very successful. Another one that was in engineering education, another one in mass comm. They put together some videos on entrepreneurship education and the arts. They worked on cases. We won on an improv group. So it turned out being really successful. So it's great to get out of your silos, talk to each other, and then take that back and kind of figure out how you can apply it. So I think it's been a really successful thing. So all of you can look forward to, in October, being put together with some of your like-minded people to apply some of the stuff that you're learning. So it turned out to be really good. If you have any questions, you have email in one of the emails.
And you can go ahead.
Everyone, I'm Diane Welsh at the University of North Carolina, Greensboro. I'm here with my wonderful fellows this year and our Assistant Director, Dr. Ezra Mamili. We're very excited about participating and working with all of you and meeting you coming up at the summit. I asked to speak on pre- and post-tests, and basically we're going back to the question of how do we measure if formal entrepreneurship education has an impact on our students' entrepreneurial propensity and intentions to be entrepreneurs, and moving those intentions to actions. And as all of you know, another word for this in academic terms is assessment, and we really try to assess, are we making a difference in the classroom with what we're doing with our entrepreneurship classes education. This is a particularly important issue not only for entrepreneurship education in general, but also cross-disciplinary entrepreneurship education, where we're really blending the learning objectives of the discipline, the specific discipline that we have experts in that are Coleman fellows, with entrepreneurship, and usually having learning objectives in entrepreneurship as well as the discipline. And so taking this across campus and measuring it, and that's even a bigger issue. Traditionally, if you look at the literature, we haven't done a great job at figuring out how to measure the impact of entrepreneurship education. I can say in general, we're not the only ones, as everyone knows. Measuring assessment of all courses across campus is a challenge, and we keep working on that. I think that really we have an opportunity with the Coleman Fellows program to really make a difference in this area in terms of trying to measure the impact of entrepreneurship education across campus. So basically, pre- and post-tests that Joe asked me to talk about is very simply measuring our students' knowledge level before they get in class, as well as at the end of class. And hopefully, we'll see a difference at entrepreneurial propensity, or the propensity to be an entrepreneur, go up, and also have that end up in actions, which I think is very important to the Coleman Foundation, that, are we making a difference? Mike always asks the question for a lot of years, so you're doing this great, so what? Are you really making a difference in terms of the outcomes with these students? And that's really what we're trying to measure. I think here at UNCG, we put together we call it the Entrepreneurial Propensity Assessment instrument, and we try to use that to measure before and after. It's not perfect. There just wasn't anything really out there that's standardized, so we decided to put something together. We also do some more traditional measures, like how many of our students have started businesses during class, how many have started businesses after class, and we hope they keep in touch with us and let us know that. And so there's, not really a list of great instruments you can use to do this. And that's in entrepreneurship in general. When you take it cross-disciplinary and try to measure it, there isn't known instruments in that in general in the entrepreneurship area. So I think that the main thing is that we are measuring before and after and trying to come up with some kind of assessment if we're making a difference. And that's the main question with pre- and post-tests, and reporting that, and I think reporting back to Coleman about that, and then all of us as a learning community really generating information between us and how we can really make a difference in assessing cross-disciplinary entrepreneurship education. In a perfect world, we would measure before, when students are freshmen into college and getting into the major, and then measuring at the very last class take in entrepreneurship. And, we'd have sort of a more four-year measure besides just within classes. Because, all of us know in 15 weeks that goes pretty fast. So I think it's important to measure within class, but if we could get measures to measure at the beginning of their education and entrepreneurship and at the very end of it in terms of programs, that would be also really important to compare those the different data. So that's really a summary of pre- and post-tests, and as I said, I think the Coleman Foundation and fellows can really share this information to try to get us to the next level in terms of better assessing if we really have an impact on our students in the classroom in cross-disciplinary education. Thank you. Is there a question?
Thanks. We're going to come back to questions after Gina and Eric. So, Gina.
I'm sitting in for Frank Hoy, who is traveling today. We have one of our fellows here, Chris Billier, and our e-barista, Glenn Goddard. And I just wanted to say we joined in 2010. We have 9 Coleman Fellows across different disciplines: chemical engineering, physics, humanities, social sciences, and life sciences. And our e-barista is Glenn Goddard, and he's biomedical engineering. I want to turn it over to Glenn so that he can share what he's been doing in the cups of espressos. He can probably say it a lot better than I can. So, Glenn.
So, our follow up a little bit on what was said earlier in regards to the baristas and the cup of espressos. The goal of the cup of espresso really is to bring together with similar academic backgrounds. So, for example, I'm in engineering, and we have ABET accreditation, our engineering program. So one of the things that we struggle with in engineering is how do we incorporate entrepreneurship into courses while still allowing the course to be accredited through ABET. Cups of espressos give us the opportunity to talk about that there. So there's different things we can do with the cup of espressos. They start off, Joe's going to assign the fellows to different cups here. Start off next month, I believe. And really it's the group that dictates the direction of the activities. There's a bunch of different things that the baristas and the cups of espressos can do. It's peer discussion and talk lecture, slides, sharing different course materials, different course content, experiences, what's the most effective way to deliver certain content in courses. Other have manuscripts and put manuscripts together, put abstracts together, presented at various conferences. Other groups at the Cup of Espressos talk about putting together teaching modules. Basically, it's an environment where we can learn from each other at different universities, but also working in a similar area. So we heard about silos earlier, and I agree. We don't want to stay in our silos. We want to spread out a little bit. And I think that there's a lot of opportunities. I think Coleman's provided a great opportunity for us to do that. But there's a lot of things that are specific to each discipline, and so the Cup of Espresso kind of gives us that opportunity. The different formats that are used for a meeting in these Cup of Espressos include WebExes, as we're doing right now, which I think is pretty effective. Email groups, especially when you want to send around a manuscript, things like that there. Teleconferences, and as I'm sure Joe will remind us soon, it's always great to post things on the Coleman Fellows website, and so that's another method. So that, and I'll save some time for questions at the end. So thank you.
Bruno?
We're here. So I'm President. I'm filling in for Tim Stearns, our director, who is currently on a party bus headed with a group of entrepreneurship mentor students, and unfortunately, it's not a stocked bus. In that spirit, we've been asked to talk a little bit about how the grant funds are used to support the fellows' activities. A lot of fellows come in and typically bundle support around new fellows, right, in terms of not paying for them to go to like the Coleman Foundation or CEO Coleman meetings, but as well just some added support so they can get the materials they need to do some cool things in their classrooms, to justify to deans and whatnot the time it takes to develop new modules and new course content, and really just incentivize them to talk to some of the people out there that are in the fellows networks about what works and what doesn't work and how it's worked in different disciplines. And I know that we've told people to go to Sharon Alpe before, who's just doing some very cool things. Jerry Katz's program as well, very, very interesting. And so just incentivizing things like that for the new fellows and really getting them ingrained in. On that, when we talk about how we use Coleman funds, there's a campus faculty networking, and reaching faculty and growing the fellows program and going out and having those conversations with deans and other disciplines, from merchandising to engineering, and trying to fill this entrepreneurial imperative. As well, putting together skill development workshops and helping support things like the experiential classroom that I know quite a number of us are going to next week. Use the funds to support the monthly and the bi-monthly meetings and things like Cups of Espresso and e-baristas, as well as just other classroom initiatives that fellows come with. The one last thing Tim did want me to say is that the Coleman Foundation has always been very receptive to new ideas and feedback with regards to what works and what doesn't work, and how we can grow and move forward And so he asked that I encourage all of the fellows to be candid and let Joe know, what's working and where do we have opportunities to do something really interesting or cool, because I think that's feedback that everyone's open to.
Thanks. I'd like to open up the floor for questions. So I know that there are a lot of new fellows coming to this for the very first time, and a lot of questions that are floating around. So please feel free to ask any of the presenters. And if you can, please use the raise hand button so I can sequence the questions. With a question to who talked about the cups of espressos. Again, as a community of practice, we have decided that we will use the Coffe team listed by Claudia of the foundation. And as you go along through the activities of the year, you get used to the term. And this was a idea that actually I think originated with Clark, and all of us felt that it was worthwhile exploring, and it worked out well. Just to not have any fellow feel that he or she is doing this alone. The idea is to support in every possible, from building some plans to modifying objectives to bringing in perhaps some interesting YouTube content, and you name it. All of these above things are available as not only a community of practice, but individuals engaged in the same discipline and teaching the same coursework. So there's a lot of information that's being pushed on you at this time. So take a moment and ask questions. No questions?
Joe?
Go
It said on the one PowerPoint that the class needed to be offered in spring 2014. Is it also possible to offer it in the fall of 2014, or is it just the spring this year? Can you go?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, on the one PowerPoint slide, it said that we develop the course in the fall and then offer it in the spring of 2014. In the past, we've been able to do it in the spring or the fall of 2014. Is that still possible, or are we supposed to just do it in the spring this year?
No, it's the expectation that you can teach it in the spring. After that, if not, some universities have other processes to get things approved in terms of change. So if it is in the fall, that's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And there are, would you be able to share some pre and post test questions to the community?
I can do that, Joe, if you'd like me to. I also had 3 questions that I developed for the webinar here that I thought were important that I'd like to bring up. And is the questions we're trying to really get at with pre and post tests are, what's the impact of cross-disciplinary entrepreneurship, where entrepreneurship learning objectives are blended with other disciplines in the same course? Number 2 question, do these courses increase the propensity of one to become a successful entrepreneur? And number 3, do discipline-specific courses blended with entrepreneurship have impact on the student's future success? I think those are really the 3 questions we're trying to get at with measurement on the pre and post test. So maybe sort of.
And how do you actually what is the process you use to actually do the pre and post test?
We put a survey we put together online, and it's we use it through our university-approved online system, which is Qualtrics, our survey system. It was approved, and then we just send the link to the students, and we send out to all the professors that are in the entrepreneurship program, mostly Coleman Fellows, ahead of time, and ask them to post it on our Blackboard site, and we send in a message out to our students to please take this before you get in class the first day, and that doesn't always usually happen with students, so we reinforce that the first week of class and say everybody needs to take it the first week of class. And I actually give points associated, like 5 points, 3 points, something like that, to have students take that pre-test. And I tell them there's no right or wrong answers, no one sees the answers, anyone else in the class, and it won't affect your grade. And what we're trying to do is measure you moving through the class in terms of your entrepreneurship knowledge and skills and your propensity to be an entrepreneur. And at the end of the class, you're going to take the same test. And then, what we try to do is, if the students want, that they can see their scores before and after. We're willing to share those. And we share the scores with the professors anonymously for the class. And then the other thing we do is then we basically take all the scores. We've had about 600 students now take it, the assessment we have made up, and most of those have been in the business school, primarily courses within the business school that are cross-listed. But now, this year, we've really reached out to the Coleman Fellows to get them to give it across campus. And also all the students that work in our experiential learning lab called the Spartan Trade Retail Store also take that at the beginning of their internship in the store or their practicum. We have art students doing a practicum there, as well as entrepreneurship students and some other students from across campus. So they really hands-on learning retail, and so they really have to 100% run that store, and so it's really important for us to see the scores from that. And those may look different than in a traditional classroom setting. So we're interested in doing that. We just started doing that this fall.
Thanks. There's a question from Fresno State.
Actually, this is kind of a follow-up to assessment. And Diane, thank you very much for that elaboration. That was really helpful. The question I have is the Coleman Foundation considering at some point sort of either mandating or encouraging sort of community-wide assessment, maybe on Diane's instrument? That's
would you like to address that, please?
Sure, Joe. Hi, everyone. My name's Clark McCain with the Coleman Foundation. I would say, Betsy, that's a great question. It's something that we've had interest in learning more about and exploring it. It isn't necessarily part of our funding plans right now, but we're very interested in what folks are thinking about in that space. The last couple of years, the Fellows Program has tried to kind of plant the seeds and encourage assessment and pre-test, post-test vehicles, and we're very receptive to learning about ideas and thoughts. And the CEO Conference and the Fellows Summit might be an opportunity to share some of those things with us and with other folks in the program.
Other questions for either presenters, Rex or Sharon Alfie or Gina?
Joe, just one more thing. I think part of the issue with assessment's been, if I look back, because I've been around almost as long as Jerry, or maybe as long as Jerry, is that, maybe trying to get a standardized instrument is hard because we all do different things, and assessing what's being taught in maybe an interior design and entrepreneurship class may be different than a technology and entrepreneurship class, obviously, a little like extremes. I think also, while our programs are all unique, they're not the same, and we teach entrepreneurship's not the same. So I think a lot of these assessments or pre-tests have to be also developed on the campus. What they're doing on each campus is unique, and the courses within each campus are unique. So I think that's why maybe we've had trouble for a lot of years trying to develop sort of a standardized entrepreneurial assessment test. Although I do think there are some common things that we all need to make sure we learn in terms of knowledge and passing that on to students and making sure they're successful.
Thank you, Diane.
They're different.
A question from WPI.
So I've been listening to the discussion standardizing testing, and given that trying to infuse modules of entrepreneurship and non-business courses, I think one of the main goals is to stimulate interest in entrepreneurship and increase knowledge of entrepreneurship, and that's a very easy question to ask. And then a second question would be, to students, would you be likely to seek more information in entrepreneurship, or would you likely take action in entrepreneurial direction? I think that might be a way to survey students of different majors, and it wouldn't matter what major it was, because it's interest and action-based and also knowledge-based.
Thank you, Gina. If there are questions, please yes, or we'll have an opportunity at the end of this presentation from Clark on the concept for the Fellows Program. When we put this piece together, a lot of discussion and thought behind this, and said, okay, how do we visualize what we would, as the Fellows Program, be able to articulate through a graphic? So this is the result of that, and Clark agreed to discuss this with us. So Clark, please go ahead.
Thanks. Good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Clark McCain. I'm Program Officer at the Coleman Foundation, along with Rosa Berardi, my colleague, and we're the program staff from the foundation. So it's very exciting for us to be with you. In her words, said one of the questions that she asked, that they ask on campus, is what entrepreneurship mean to you? So I want to take a few minutes and explain what it means to the Coleman Foundation, a little bit, in deeper depth than just the definition. But before we do that, I want to, share again Mike's welcome to each of you, and let you know how excited we are to be part of this program. The fellow program is about 5 years old. It was based on work that was happening on other campuses, some of our grantee institutions. And over the 5 years, it has certainly changed and evolved, and it continues to have newness and growth. And there are a couple things that are new to it this year, one of which is content that we're able to share from our relationship with the Drucker Institute, and I'm sure there'll be more discussed about that. But the other thing that's new this year really is the scale of the program. 140 fellows involved in the Fellows Program this year, and I had the opportunity, as we were sitting in this room, to kind of scroll through the pictures of all of you in your 19 different rooms across the country sitting with weather, and it's exciting to see the number of folks involved. We have 60 new fellows, so 60 folks that are brand new to this concept and this work, and 80 individuals that are come back from prior years of experience. So that's a larger number of folks, and we're very excited about that. One of the goals of the program is to connect you with one another, as Jill mentioned. Connect you with the folks that you're sitting in the room with today, many of whom are brand new to you, and connect you to the folks in 18 other rooms around the country who are doing work similar to yours in similar fields. So very excited to be part of that. The motivation in many respects for the program was to advance what you see on the screen here, advance what we've kind of come to know now as the bullseye concepts that the Coleman Foundation advances in entrepreneurship. As even if you're very new to the field, you're aware that entrepreneurship is a very dynamic and growing field. Jerry gave us the history of it, and that history continues to evolve very rapidly to what we see as a vibrant area of study on campuses. Whereas with that type of dynamic, the definitions, get a little loose, and we clearly understand that we're working in a field that is very broadly described in many regards. And so this bullseye model is intended to communicate that there are some narrow topics, some very specific things that the Coleman Foundation advances within what is a very broadly understood field. So think about a bullseye. You think there are some things right at the center, and you're always shooting your arrow to hit right in the middle of the bullseye, because that's the target. But there are things outside the bullseye that, are meaningful, are valuable, but perhaps aren't quite as critical, from at least our vantage point. So some of the things that we see in the field of entrepreneurship now tends to be a really strong focus on generating high growth businesses that generate a significant number of employees and drive large economic change. And while we see that as valuable, it's really not necessarily our focus. With the smaller growth businesses, the Main Street businesses are of equal import to those high growth and high technology driven activities. As with the emergence of a field, the demand and the interest in research grows, and we recognize that's the case in entrepreneurship. There's a growing research base and motivation for participation in generating new knowledge. But the Coleman Foundation's work is apart from that. It's really more on practical applications and applied learning versus research. And those 6 items that you see kind of hanging off the arrow that's in the center really represent the key core part of entrepreneurship that we look to support and to fund. Definition that entrepreneurship is self-employment in a business setting with risk, control, and reward. And we can unpack those terms over the course of the year, but there are really 6 things I want to hit on for the next few minutes. One, which we started out early on, and I think Gary indicated, is that entrepreneurship has become to be understood as something that can be learned. There are specific skills that entrepreneurs have, and this is a discipline that can be taught, it can be learned, and there are particular skills that we should be conveying. So that's a core belief and part of our concepts. How that learning is transmitted and how it's received is advanced when it is done in experiential environments. So when people are actively learning, when they're engaged in the work, is how they will better retain and implement what they're learning. So this is probably not unique to entrepreneurship, but experiential learning methods are growing and are becoming very commonplace, and that we look to support, particularly through the fellow program. So as you, as a fellow, are considering how to embed these skill sets and these competencies into your course, the vehicle of active learning and experiential education is the one we would recommend you choose. We believe that pathway is important, and what we mean by that is really an interconnectedness across educational systems. Entrepreneurs are going to find the right moment to launch their business at a variety of points, and the educational system needs to support their ability to move through it, gaining skills in a way that advances their interests, but also accommodating their needs to work on the business. So transitioning from secondary school to a community college environment to a university environment is very important. And pardon me, I lost our video here. As a need to accommodate that entrepreneur to work on the business and to move in and out of the business environment. Our point really hits on business creation. As I indicated, social entrepreneurship may be a very attractive means, an attractive topic, and a way to bring people into the concept of self-employment. At the end of the day, we're really focused on establishing for-profit enterprises. And those, again, do not necessarily need to be, large and fast-growing, but they can very, very frequently be the community anchor and the very important core business in the community. We think practitioner involvement, the involvement in entrepreneurs, practicing entrepreneurs in the education of self-employment is very important. And so your ability to attract individuals who are really doing what you're teaching and getting them in front of students is something that we think is very critical and very important. And although we don't really need to say that to this audience, cross-campus entrepreneurship education is core to our work. And so as you look across the room that you're in and know the people who are working in different parts of campus whom you may not have met before today, that is part of the core effort and the core work that we're trying to support. So if your room, think of the other 18 rooms across the country that are similar, that are comprised of folks that are from different areas, yet still see the value of entrepreneurship education and whose students are demanding it of them and of you. We're excited next month, as Joe will mention, to have many of you together, all first-year fellows, all 60 of you, and then as many of the 80 veteran fellows who are able to will convene in Chicago for an extraordinarily exciting day. It's a full day this year, which is different from in the past because we've heard from you the demands for more time to be together. So excited to accommodate that cross-campus kickoff next month and have that ripple through the entire program, through the cups of espresso led by e-baristas, but really brought to life by your personal commitment. So, Joe, there are kind of brief overview statements, and we look forward to a very exciting year.
We have a question from Milliken.
You're going to cover this, Joe, but I was just curious what time we were starting on the 31st.
We start at 8 a.m. and just went to the fellow site. So perfect segue to what we'd like to do next.
That's why I cued you there. Thanks.
Thank you. So there are a couple of key action items and dates that I'd like to remind everybody in the community. One is before the end of the day, September 27th, all directors, please let Clark know which your learning or veteran fellows are going to be attending the Fellow Summit. So finalize the list of attendees and plan the logistics for being another logistics that we need to take care of. And the second item is the fellows, all fellows new and returning who are attending the Fellow Summit on October 31st. Please make your hotel and air arrangements as soon as possible. The fund is going to handle the registration to the summit. Really, and the conference. So when you are when the founder registers you to the summit, you're registered to the CEO conference, and we strongly suggest, recommend that you participate in the conference. And then is all new fellows and the directors and new 2013 class or cohort of fellows are expected to register to the site. There is a website that is to the fellows community, and all of us are required to participate in that, and I expect all register to the site. And if there's any technical issues as to registration, please email me and I'll be happy to help it out. Mark your calendars for giving coffee cups and webinars. All dates are posted to the fellow site. Next coffee hour is October. This is designed as a coffee hour for directors and e-baristas and expected to attend, but others are welcome to join in on the meeting with your site. And again, the last item is past fellows have put a short video introduction of themselves. This is not a requirement that we are asking you to do this. If you wish to do that, please do and post a link, post YouTube, and then send us a link, and we'll attach it to the site. So there's some information that we have pushed out today. As you go about your engagement as a fellow, please let us know how you with all the activities. We are looking forward to meeting all of you in person that, on the October 31st. It's also a Halloween, which happens to fall on a Halloween day, but that's just the way it turned out this year. So, options at this time.
Nope. I can't. Going to be a is there an early event at Experiential Classroom for Coleman Fellows, or will the Coleman Fellows events there be scheduled within the regular program?
Well, excuse me. A lot of the fellows are in on the evening before, so there was a suggestion that if there's enough of us, we could do something, but I have to make it a requirement because some people are coming late, and there's a lot of variance as to when people can get together. So expect everything to happen on the Thursday, which is our Thursday. It's a full day. Okay, anything else you would just add to this?
Have anything further, Joe? Thanks.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody, for taking time to be in the session this morning. And there are questions, I'm sure, that come up and will come up. Please feel free to email us, and we'll be in touch with you the next couple of weeks. Meet face-to-face at the funnel. Thank you.
Joe.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
See you soon. Bye.
You guys have a great